That's the SGX Nifty down about 11 points. Let's see how things move. Asia is doing quite okay actually today. If you see Hang Seng and a couple of other markets. Now, of course, keep in mind we had a big rally on Friday in last hour, so markets just consolidating a bit. And of course, at 11 a.m. we have the BJP manifesto. The market may just want to wait for it. The market's mood is still bullish, but may just want to wait for it before making the next move. SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com is now with us. Mr. Tulsian, good morning. Your thoughts first on the big Indiabulls Lakshmi Vilas Bank merger and how to approach these two stocks. Now, of course, LVB is now circuit-to-circuit stock, but thoughts on Indiabulls?
Anuj, I think this is an excellent move, and I expressed this on Friday that the companies, all the NBFCs and housing finance companies are eyeing to convert them into a bank because largely to have the lower cost deposit, and that is seen quite positive. One may say that the integration pain may be seen happening with the company or initially, but the kind of dilution of less than 8% in the equity and the kind of exposure and the network which they will be getting, branches of 500 plus and all sort of things, is seen to be quite positive. So yes, keeping positive view. In fact, we have been keeping positive view on Indiabulls Housing Finance for the last maybe 6 months or so when this crisis was seen happening, because of the strong fundamentals posted by the company, and it did for a 20% growth as well for 20. So yes, this move is seen quite positive for Indiabulls Housing Finance going forward.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Tulsian. Do stay on. The first rates are coming in and Indiabulls is starting negative. Let's see. See, it would be because they are going to trade growth for stability. So maybe there could be a little bit of red on the Indiabulls screen. But I would assume that other small banks like Karur and Dhanlakshmi and Karnataka are all going to see green. For the moment, okay, there is green on Indiabulls yet again. Actually, Titan is starting up in the green, and the entire market is up about 1/3%. Let's see, I guess this is just the market trying to make up its mind.
Also, NIIT and NIT Tech are both up in the green on the back of that deal that Bearings has acquired 30% of the promoter's stake. So both those stocks up about 10 to 20%. We'll wait by for these rates to settle. Mr. Tulsian, morning. On NIIT Technologies, the kind of up move that we've already seen, you think the deal has been priced in, or would you expect more of an upside here? What's the recommendation to investors?
Sonia, I think looking to the acquisition price at 1394, I think the price is fully factored in, and in fact I won't be surprised to see a mild correction seen happening in the share of NIIT Tech going forward, because I think now it is ruling at 1350 and there is seen to be no reason for the stocks to really move beyond 1300, because open offer is also seen coming in, and 30% acquisition by Bearing seen having factored into the price of NIIT Technology.
Okay, so just wanted to say the rupees opened a little weaker. I saw a 69.39 also on the screen. It's 69.33 is where it started. 69.33 yesterday. Friday it closed at 69.22. So that's about a 17 pice weakness in the currency. Let's wait and see. It's the crude impact that's telling. So that usually impacts bonds and therefore financials. But yes, financials can run on their own steam nevertheless. Mr. Tulsian, what about NIIT? It gets like some 2,000 crores from Bearing. What do you do with that stock?
See, Lata, now that's right. In fact, NIIT of this 30% stake which is being acquired, 23.5% is held by NIIT. So they will be fetching about 2,000 crore plus, maybe 2020. But again, it all depends, because I don't know how far it will be correct to presume that the major portion of that will get distributed in the form of dividend by the company, that is NIIT Limited. Because even if you take the dividend distribution tax, or maybe the tax on this transaction which they will be fetching of 2020 crore, or maybe their own capex requirement, they will be required about to have 800 crore, 750 to 800 crore. So they are left with 1200 crore. So whether it will be a simple math so easy that you can just say that the present market cap is 1600 crore and you are going to get the 1200 crore in the form of dividend, I won't subscribe to this theory, because major companies have seen in the past that they have not been so liberal in distribution as a dividend. So yes, the upside can be looked into in the NIIT Limited, but I don't know whether that will really be sustainable or not. Share was up to 95-96 rupees on Friday. Maybe it can move to a level of 105, but at those levels I think it becomes it factors in fully the deal or the monetization of 23.5% stake which they are holding in NIT Tech.
Okay, well, Tata Steel is the other stock that's moving up quite a bit right now, about 0.7% higher. Remember, Nigel was telling us that the India business in Q4 has recorded the highest ever sales volumes with a growth of about 20%. Mr. Tulsian, at 550, how does the risk-reward look for Tata Steel?
See, Sonia, again, one should not see the Indian operations in isolation. In fact, see the Southeast Asia and Europe. There the pressure seen continuing in. And in fact, that's what I have been saying this maybe for last 3, 4, 5 years, that in case of Tata Steel and in case of Tata Motors, it is only the domestic operations which are really seen to be saving the entire company. And in fact that continues to remain the situation maybe for Tata Steel going forward, because Indian steel industry or Indian steel scenario seem to be quite good. The things are seen quite robust, and in case of Tata Steel having their own capex of Kalinganagar steel plant of 3 million ton and Bhushan Steel having acquired, which is also as a part of the Tata Steel, is going to continue to do quite well. So but the problem is that Southeast Asia and their Europe operations, and I don't think that you are going to have any kind of respite from there. And the production figure also demonstrate that for the Q4 and for FY19 having released by the company. So yes, things are looking positive on the ferrous steel front, but we will be taking a call on the other companies, maybe like JSW Steel Authority and Jindal Steel and Power.
Okay. Mr. Tulsian, just a minute to update on the stock prices. It's about 0.33% higher as far as the index is concerned, but we still are waiting for any trade on the Nifty Bank. That will show up only a little later. Among the big stocks that are moving, actually Voda Idea has again picked up another 5%. Hexaware has picked up about 1.5%. Manappuram is doing well at this point in time. SAIL is doing well. We just discussed steel with Mr. Tulsian. And on the big stocks, iShares is up 1%. And then they're all metals: Vedanta, JSW Steel, Tata Steel.
Lakshmi Bank is up 9%. The cash market, small banks are up. The weaker the bank, the more it rises. Yeah, the Lakshmi is up 9%.
Yeah, I can imagine, I guess, even all the South Indians and the Karoors. Yeah, actually, you're right. It's not just Dhanlakshmi. Dhanlakshmi, of course, is up 10%. But Lakshmi Vilas is up 5%. I guess that will be the circuit. Karoor is up 3.4%. South Indian is up 3%. DCB is up 1.5%. So people have just applied the formula.
And I think it will be it might work, but initially, but I won't be surprised to see some profit taking in other banks. It should not just be just
this
one
deal,
rule.
even if it is going to get the RBI green signal, is at least about 4-5 months away.
Yes.
The two EGMs have to meet. And that will take about 7 weeks. Gagan Banga told us on Friday, and thereafter it goes to RBI. There is no time limit. They will go with a microscope and look at all the regulators, SEBI, and everybody to check out if they are above par in integrity. So it's not going to happen soon, and therefore people shouldn't count their chickens before they hatch. But Mr. Tulsian, I actually wanted, maybe we'll come to Gagan Banga's thoughts in just a minute. Mr. Tulsian, I just wanted to ask you if you would go with any of the smaller banks.
See, Lata, 2 or 3 banks are seen to be quite interesting. Maybe on the fundamental and valuation front also, you should not just go purely on the theory of acquisitions only. And these 2 or 3 banks which I really like is, one is DCB Bank, because even that can be seen as a potential takeover candidate, because people that has been talking on the street for last 3, 4, 5 years by HDFC Bank, and HDFC Group having divested the stake in Group Finance can look to replace that with some acquisition. But apart from that, if you really see the fundamentals of DC Bank, asset quality seem to be quite good. On the retail front, they are increasing their portfolio. And second bank comes to my mind is the Karnataka Bank. Again, EPS of closer to about 18-20, asset quality is reasonable with a book value of maybe about 180. So price to book of, I have not seen a private sector bank really ruling at a price to book of less than 1, and maybe at a P multiple of about maybe 7 or 8. So even that is looking quite good. And third stocks, which I could be, if as a dark horse, maybe Dhanalakshmi Bank or any one bank from the southern, this one, either City Union Bank or Dhanalakshmi Bank from a takeover point of view. But for a takeover theory, I won't be, playing too surely. But these two things on a fundamental basis, DCB Bank and Karnataka Bank really looks quite good.
All right, Mr. Tulsian, thanks a lot for joining us and taking us through your views. For now, the market rates have settled higher by about 0.3%. It's metals that are topping the charts today. Vedanta, JSW Steel are all higher. Tata Steel is also higher post that news flow that came in. And Eicher Motors is another stock from the auto space. It's actually made a big comeback from the lows in January. Eicher is now up almost 20%. So some of these auto stocks have bounced back from their lows. But talking about the metal names, Manisha Gupta joins in now to give us a roundup of all that's happening in the world of crude and steel. Hi Manisha, good morning.
Morning, and thank you so much for that, Sonia. Well, yes, it has started as a stronger week and a day for many of these industrial commodities, starting with the crude oil prices, and we are trading at a 5-month highs now, and the Brent price is at $70 per barrel, is 30% up for this year now. Well, in addition to the stronger fundamentals that we have been talking about, like the OPEC cuts, which are at a 4-year lows now, there also is unrest in Libya and Venezuela, leading to supply cuts from these two major oil producers as well, and that seems to be putting premium on prices. Also, with the kind of data that we saw from US, the stronger jobs number, expectation that China will come out with more stimulus measures has been adding to the expected demand as well, and that's keeping the prices higher. When it comes to metals, we have started the day stronger. China has returned from a long weekend, and the participation on the long side has been very high. If you look at the iron ore prices, they have opened 3% higher. Steel is up 2.5% on the higher side. If you look at metals like copper and nickel, they have gained around 2% as well in Shanghai right now. Well, this quarter is a strong seasonal demand period to begin with, and we also are looking at supply disruptions from Brazil and Australia, especially for steel. The margins also have improved by 3 to 4%. That there is a domestic demand pickup in China. So all these factors have led to gains. So almost everything in metals is trading in the positive.
Okay, that's a bullish Manisha there. Thank you very much, Manisha, for joining us. Well, it's time we took the 9-10 calls. Ashwini, what would be your big call?
See, Chola Mandalam can be bought. That can be bought with a stop around 1470, target of 1510.
Okay. Sudarshan, your thoughts? Is there a trade on the index, and what would be your 9-10 call?
Yes, I would be a buyer in the. I mean, people should be already long from last week, but if not, then buy the index at current levels. Expect a rally towards 10,760, 780, and your exit is 10,620 on a closing basis. If it's closing below that, then this is not working out.
Okay.
Infosys is a buying opportunity. Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
Infosys is a buy, and with a stop at 755 and an immediate target of 765.
Okay, sorry for that interruption. Mitesh, what about you? What would the big call be at 9:10 this morning?
Yeah, I would choose a metal stock, that's Tata Steel, buy with a stop below 540, look for 570 as your target.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, we want to also remind our viewers about the Indiabulls side of why they have gone ahead with the LVB proposal. We spoke with Gagan Banga, Vice Chairman and Managing Director of Indiabulls Housing Finance, on Friday after the deal was announced to the exchanges. Here's what he told us.
This is an amalgamation. This is not strictly a new bank license, and if you look at how Indiabulls Housing is placed today, it qualifies under all the norms required even for a new bank license. Most importantly, Indiabulls Housing is a widely held company with over 65% institutional ownership, and of which over 56% is held by foreign institutions. The promoter stake currently is 21.5%. During the scheme itself, we will undertake to the Reserve Bank that it will drop to below 15%. As the scheme gets approved, it will drop to 15%. We are sitting at a very strong capital adequacy and a very strong liquidity. So the case that we are trying to present to the Reserve Bank is that neither the amalgamated entity nor Indiabulls Housing is really requiring any sort of a forbearance for them. We will be applying to them once, now that the boards have approved, we will follow the process.
Okay, so those are the details of the deal from the man himself. Now, of course, I just want to put it on the table that it will require RBI approval, and that will take a while coming, and it will be a well-analysed, well-dissected deal. So you should keep that caution on the table. You should be hedged when you get into the stock or into these stocks. Ritu Singh has joined us because we've got fresh details on the expression of interest that is awaited from Jet Airways bidders. Ritu?
Well, the key takeaway is that as per the EOI document that the lenders have now made public, they're looking to sell a maximum of 75% in the airline and a minimum of 31.2%. That's what, one of the biggest takeaways is. The bidders, according to this document, can be strategic and or financial investors. There are specific conditions that are attached to the bid where they said if it is a strategic investor, they must have a minimum net worth of 1,000 crore rupees or investable capital of 1,000 crore rupees and at least 3 years of experience in the commercial aviation business. If it is a financial investor, there are also stringent terms. They must have minimum assets under management of 2,000 crore rupees, and there can't be more than 3 members in case of a consortium bid, with individual members not holding less than 15%. And the consortium would also require to have a lead consortium member. These are some of the details that we've immediately been able to pick up from the bid document. The bid deadline also, as we had reported, has been extended to the 10th of April. At 6 p.m. is when the deadline ends, and they're looking to to invite final bids once all of these approvals are in place and the bidders meet all the regulatory approvals and the MOCA approvals once they are in place.
All right. Ritu, thank you very much for giving us those details. We'll keep coming back to you as you read through the document and get us more details. But one is assuming that there is a long queue of investors when you put in these conditions. One hopes so. Okay, the opening bell about to go. Yes, and the market opens at the pre-opening level of about 1/3% higher. 38 higher, 11,700 conquered, and the Sensex up 160 or 170 now as I speak. That's 39,000 conquered. Mid-caps doing just as well, and the Bank Nifty doing the best at about 0.4%, so a shade better than the Nifty. Steel stocks are the toast of the day, or rather metal stocks are toast of the morning. Vedanta up 1%, Tata Steel up 1.3%, JSW Steel up 1%. Forgive me, I can't take interest in this. Please put up Lakshmi Vilas Bank and Indiabulls. I think that's the stock that people would most want to watch. They are not... okay, there's Lakshmi Vilas at circuit already. And Indiabulls is down, and that one should expect, because once you become a bank, you have to do priority sector, you have to do a whole host of things. And it's already run up, as Anuj has been repeatedly pointing out, in anticipation of this deal. So a little bit of give back. So if you're looking at the red list, then we might as well look at the oil refiners, which and Reliance as well, all of which have been hit by the rising crude prices. Asian Paints, the usual suspects that would be disadvantaged. I'm a little surprised to see HCL Tech among the losers because the rupee is weak, and I was expecting that all the tech stocks will follow the metal stocks. Infosys is in the green. That's up about almost 1%. Grasim is, Bharti Airtel, Ultratech Cement, all up around 1%. Powergrid, Tech Mahindra, Wipro, Indusend, HUL, HDFC Bank, Titan are the other stocks which are up over 0.5%. The green wins, but the markets are slightly off the first tick.
Okay, well, for the mid-cap space, Lata, it's in green tick, but not too much, about 50 points. The stock of the moment is NIT Limited. Immediately it gets 2,020 odd crores from that bearings deal, so that has caused a fillip in the stock, 10% higher on NIT Limited. NIT Tech has rallied quite a bit in anticipation of this deal, so there is a bit of profit taking that you're seeing right now. Not much really, but down about 0.9%. A lot of these smaller banks, are rallying in anticipation of perhaps an LVB Indiabulls type of deal coming through. So Karnataka, Karur Vysya, South Indian Bank, Dhanlakshmi Bank, that whole lot, all of them are up anywhere between 3 to 6 odd %. Lakshmi Vilas Bank is now up almost 5%, so there's a circuit over there. So these are the two deals, right? And that's how the stocks are reacting. Apart from that, Vodafone Idea is up almost about 3 odd %, so bouncing from the lows. Future Consumer is up about 2% after that acquisition that they made. Cement stocks are rallying. There's a big upgrade that's coming from CLSA on Ultratech. But India Cements is also up almost about 1.5 to 2 odd %. Some auto stocks are making a comeback. So you have Ashok Leyland, which is up almost about 0.5 odd %. I also want to point out that Soba Limited has put out their real estate operational update for Q4. So they talk about how it remains quite weak, the entire setup, but they've achieved a record fourth quarter in terms of pre-sales. Pre-sales of 4.03 million square feet worth 3,120 crores is what they've seen. So highest ever new sales booking for Sobha, and that's what they've just announced to the exchanges, and that's why the stock is now trading in the green. But otherwise, Anuj, it's an opening just consolidating around these levels. But the market breadth is positive today, so you get a sense that maybe it could have this positive bias through the day?
Yeah, the bias is positive, Sonia. But we had a rally on Friday last hour, and this morning also. Perhaps the market will just want to wait for that manifesto as well, and then take a call from here. But let's see. I think the market is okay, I would say. Just buying time perhaps. There's a block deal which has happened in DLF, so that's another interesting stock where you're seeing some move. On Indiabulls Housing, I think from the market's point of view, it looks more of a sort of not a growth issue, perhaps something else. But the stock's rallied 25%, so some profit taking also happening here. Anyway, Ashwini, your thoughts on market opening, and is there any interesting trade here?
See, a lot of things got priced in on Friday. So now today, after the news, there's a bit of profit booking. But I would go ahead and buy into this sort of a decline. I think first half an hour, 1 hour, post that the market should start hitting fresh intraday highs. So this is the time to buy into this market rather than thinking of booking profits or selling off. My sense is finally we will close in the positive.
Okay. Mitesh, now with the markets opening and 11,700 not holding, any thoughts as well, any specific stocks?
So, Lata, I think this kind of movement will continue. I think, as I said, we are still showing signs of mostly a sideways consolidation. So, therefore, getting a lot of strength beyond or closer to 11,750 might not happen immediately. It might happen post few days. For the timing, I think Infosys could be breaking above the 765 level. So, that could be a trade on the long side. And that apart, I think I also like Ultratech and IGL.
Okay, Sudarshan, what about you? The space that everyone's trading right now is the banks, especially some of these, takeover candidates. Perhaps Lakshmi Bank is up about 8% right now. South Indian Bank is up 4.5%. Karur Vysya Bank. What would you recommend? Stay away from this pack or jump onto this bandwagon?
Well, see, Lata is probably much better equipped to answer, but on the charts, I think there is an attractive buying opportunity in small cap banks. They have all bottomed out. They have gone through a terrible bear market decline. This could be an opportunity to buy. This is a positional trade, not for today. Hexaware is a buy for today. IT should do well even if the Nifty is choppy, as it seems to be.
Okay. I guess the currency will be a big tailwind. Gentlemen, thank you very much for staying with us through the pre-market and the opening minutes of trade. We now have a big guest.
Oh yes, we have Samir Arora is with us, fund manager and founder of Helios Capital. Samir, good morning. Thanks a lot for joining us. From the time we last spoke to you to now, the market's made a complete U-turn. Of course, a lot of that courtesy the dollars chasing our market. Your thoughts on what's led to the turnaround?
Well, I think this money which has come in the last month and a half, which is, I believe, the highest any monthly flow in 8-10 years, it looks to me fast money in the sense that it is trying to preempt the election results. So if we say that this year, in the first 2 months, the Indian market was underperforming because the investors were waiting for, election outcome. So therefore, I feel a little nervous about this flow because I think this is an event type money rather than money which has come in because it feels that India is doing better or badly or that it is relatively underperforming. More than anything else, this looks like money which comes in to different markets basically to play specific events. It may go from one market to the other quite fast. It doesn't look the kind which is, here for good right now. It doesn't mean India is bad or I feel bad about the market. But this money to me looks like preempting an event and nothing more.
Good morning, Samir. Always good to have you with us. I'm still trying to guess what is this painting behind you. We can't see much of it, but
I can tilt the thing and show you if you want. Here you can see it.
Okay. No, I was wondering if it would be some bulls and bears waltzing. Okay, that's a lovely one. Yeah, we can see it. Yes. I think the bull is talking to us, and I think we can see the bear behind. Okay, Samir, precisely, since you've interpreted this as, swift money that's coming in, anticipating the event, what are you doing right now? Would you just keep some spare cash because maybe markets will then start reacting to earnings numbers and stuff like that?
I think right now I'm going along because, we were anyway hoping that the market will in the end have, a positive outcome maybe later on. But I would now think that not right now, but before May 23rd, I would like to reduce my exposure independent on who we think is winning the election. Even if BJP wins, there will be a first, I think, reasonable correction, which would mean 5-7%, independent of the world.
Why do you expect the correction?
Because, I think that this money is not interested in who's winning or losing. It has been programmed to think that in previous time the market went up X%, and therefore even if it doesn't go up X, which was very big in those days, like 35% in May alone of 2014. Therefore, if it goes up 10% also, it is good. But this event is different. We are not having a new prime minister in that sense, or new policies or something which was being kept on hold because of elections. And therefore, we think that day after the elections, that program will start. We broadly know it's more of the same, which is nothing wrong in a relative sense. But it's not an event kind of a thing is what I feel.
Okay. Samir, hi, good morning. So in the last fortnight or 1 month, of course, there's been this huge outperformance that India has seen. But if you map the year so far, there's still an underperformance compared to other emerging market peers, right? I mean, the India index is up just about 8%. And if you look at Asia, ex-Japan, it's up 15%. Why do you think that is? Is it because of this event or other reasons like, the way crude has been rising?
Well, I think that before that, India has underperformed this year nearly everybody, including US, maybe Europe also. US for sure, S&P is up NASDAQ is up 19% and S&P is up 15%. But as I was saying, my thinking is that I'm not saying overall that, please understand, I'm only saying that this last $4 billion in a month does not look to be somebody who's catching an underperforming market. There's a difference. I think they are catching an event because they are programmed to think that the market will go up instantly or immediately. I'm saying it's a good market. There's relative performance. We can see why it is less or more. But I'm just, by looking at the people who are putting the money and what stocks and how it is happening, and the fact that a normal fund manager, a long only or a hedge fund, let's say a long only fund manager, does not, just because he feels that the market is underperforming, would suddenly want to put the money in 1 month. If that was his appetite. The fact that it's coming in so fast or came in so fast and came in from the 26th of February, the day, India went to the Pakistan, and it looked that Indian BJP has been helped by that a little bit. That does not look like the behavior of a long-only general guy. It looks like the behavior of a fast-moving event guy. And there are those funds and that pool is available in the world. That is all I'm saying. So I'm saying overall India underperformance may not be justified broadly because we also feel that there will be a turnaround in earnings, even though some of it is more a reversal to normal, say in corporate banks or state-owned banks, and therefore the overall aggregate earnings of India will look better. I'm just saying that the event itself poses a risk now, according to me. Maybe not today, but if it continues like this till, say, May 15th.
Okay. By the way, the market's latching onto crude as a theme and oil marketing companies, because now we have reached a stage where crude prices have gone up from 60 to 70, and now at pump there's no price change, which is happening ahead of elections. So whether there's some directive, whatever, but BPCL, HPCL, that whole trade is reversing, and how, and these stocks are making lows of the day. Just keep an eye on some of these names. So Samir, of course, what this money flow has done is it would have made, not that it needed any help, but your portfolio would have also surged. You have the likes of HDFC Bank and IndusInd Banks of the world. So how are you approaching it now? Are you getting some hedges in place now? Long, short? What's your positioning now?
So, I tell you everything. As I said, I plan to have it before the outcome. That's all I'm saying. I haven't had that many. Right now, I'm maybe 72 net, but I would like to go back to 60s. But, I also hesitate because the market goes up every day. But in my heart of heart, I feel that on the event day or a week later, the market, from that point of that day onward, if it is up, will be down, I think, 5-7%.
What would be that point, Samir? That's the big point, right? You never know what this liquidity does.
That's what I'm saying. What I mean is that it'll be like a buy on rumor, sell on news kind of an event, is what I think. But I don't know because still 1 month left. All I'm saying is I don't feel confident about the style of the money that has come in. That's all I'm saying. Now, coming back to other issues in India, you see there are many things which we are also nervous about. There are at least 3 takeovers that have to happen literally this month or something happens, whether it is Z, not takeover, but some deal, Z, Jet, and maybe Diwan. And all these things are in the air, and we have never seen so many things happening together in one neat 1 month period. So there are many things which are a bit scary also right now.
Okay. Actually, on that note, what about NBFCs, Samir? There is this big Indiabulls LVB proposed amalgamation that was announced. How do you feel about both parties? I mean, would you like to buy NBFCs now, Indiabulls in particular, likewise small banks?
No, small banks I won't buy because, first of all, you're going to say 5 small banks. You don't know which one, if at all there's another deal like this. First of all, RBI has to approve. But in the past, we bought Vaisya Bank when ING took it over thinking, ING will change the style. I think it was for 4-5 years before it got sold to Kotak. And nothing changed. Of course, you can say that ING is a laid-back foreign bank which couldn't change the culture and everything. So these things are not easy. So buying, if there are 5 or 10 or whatever number of other banks which theoretically could be taken over by NBFCs. First of all, we don't have that many NBFCs of quality which could take over these banks. But the fact that RBI came out with such a email, which normally or whatever press release, means that for 1 or 2 months we can wait. But if it goes through properly, then I think it'll be a good deal, because Indiabulls management is more aggressive and more market astute and has the confidence of many foreign investors. But the whole thing is that it's a bit of a new thing and we also don't know.
Okay. Well, the other thing we don't know is what's happening with this whole growth slowdown argument, right? I mean, the jury is still out. Auto companies tell us that there's a big slowdown underway. Consumer durable companies tell us otherwise. How are you reading into all of this as an investor?
Over time, we also feel that there is a good slowdown. Because if you see today's interview with Rajiv Bajaj in, I think, Economic Times, he says that I don't even know when growth will come back and things like that. But the growth slowdown is there, and now we can preempt. So what we have, but I am not averaging any. In the end, let me tell you, big picture, I think that now with age, I feel that there are only 3 long-term secular themes in India and actually in the world. And these are financials, consumer, and some form of tech. And in India, tech means software mostly, and maybe pharma we don't have, but theoretically you could say. Anything else, but of course consumer you can broadly define, and we would even put auto, many parts of auto in consumer. But what I mean is these are the 3 main themes which will drive the markets, and maybe you can keep 5-10% for punts in other areas. But 85-90% in these 3 themes will do the job, and that is what we have arrived at. We know now don't want to buy other than one L&T, an infra company, mostly ever in our life again. We are not interested in turnarounds. We are not interested that something is bad, but now he's getting one order, or that one airline for 1 month will get extra seats sold. Therefore, the stock should be up 30%. These things don't make money in the long term.
Okay. So which part of consumer will you buy?
No, consumer we define very broadly. So we have rural now because we feel that whatever happens between these 2 parties, their only money is going to be spent in rural. I think that BJP cannot afford to not have a counter to Nyay or in some form or the other. But even without that, they had to spend more on rural. So we have everything broadly within our 30-odd% consumer, which would be consumer staple, consumer durable. We consider auto also in that, we media also in that. basically where the end thing is more a consumption of some form or the other rather than a government or an infra or a capital good kind of thing.
Okay. The stock that's seeing quite a bit of rally right now, in fact, a lot of big short covering bounce is NBCC. Just pull out that stock. There's no extension given to the CMD. And on Friday, you had shorts in the stock. I think, look at that stock. That's an interesting move happening right now on that stock. Big move, in fact, on NBCC right now. Let's see where that one goes. So right now, the top F&O gainer, and you're seeing quite a bit of short covering, up 4% on that stock. Samir, you've told us what you broadly like. What do you not like? What would be part of your shorts?
Everything else. So, my fear about India is that the infrastructure financing from the private sector, who will fund? Because anybody where there's an asset which is not yet ready. No, you can buy a ready-made airport from somebody and a foreigner can buy. But who will fund infrastructure which is long gestation, where there is a government contract, sanctity of contract, payments on time, no delays, nobody suing somebody, arbitration. All of that we have blown up in the last 10 years. Every one of those lines separately, you could find 3-4 examples where, you won in arbitration, but you didn't get money because you needed a bank guarantee, or you couldn't go into arbitration because somebody fought with you, or you won in court and nobody paid you money, or you didn't get money, or you couldn't complete the project, or you completed the project but the fuel was not given. So how will this restart? I don't understand, and therefore we say that is the benefit of being public market investors, that you can just say, I don't know. But if it gets through, okay, maybe our corporate-facing banks will be lending it and indirectly they'll benefit, and later on we'll get confidence. But how will we get confidence in 3-4 years? Because these projects take 5 years to complete. So I am a bit scared from that angle. But, I'm an India manager, so I choose between the option that I have.
Okay, no, I can take your point. Samir, you're perhaps seen the market much longer than I have, at least a little longer than I have. And I worried about this. We blew up IFCI, we blew up IDBI, ICICI, the old DFI, we blew up IDFC, which was supposed to be a private-public partnership. And now, we are blowing up all the power companies. Every kind of infrastructure financier has gone down the tube. Hardly anybody is able to solve the puzzle. And yet, when a bankable...
Infrastructure companies. I'm talking
financiers.
About infrastructure companies. No, forget about the financiers. Even the infra companies, obviously, because the financiers are losing because the companies did badly. But even if you look at the infrastructure companies, who will have the courage to fund a new company? So all this foreigner money that we see basically will come into complete projects. But who will complete them first, or who will initiate them first? I don't get
There is a big investor or some investors who are buying up power companies for exactly the same reason. Since no investment has come or is likely to come, you will have to come and buy power. You don't buy that argument.
No, that's what I'm saying. So they will do, that's what I'm saying. Completed projects people will buy. I'm not saying that, but I was saying in a big picture sense about infrastructure. But these power companies and all, I don't buy because these are all utility types, and I don't feel like analyzing them too much beyond a point. Because again,
are you buying the corporate banks, or are you sticking with retail banks?
No, I have got corporate banks, and I told you last time I have them well in time from maybe last August. Actually, by the way, let me break my image a little bit. We even bought one state-owned bank recently. So the thing is that in a big picture sense, you can play all these things through financials if you want to, because at least you get diversification and sometimes you get a turnaround. But there is no need in betting individually on any one company in infra. But I'm saying, forget about me. How will this solve? Who will give confidence to the public market investor or even a corporate to start new private sector infra type or long gestation projects, because you have not spared even one fellow.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, investments at what, a 7 or 8 year low, right, across most of these sectors. But anyway, just keep an eye out on the market, because the Nifty has now moved into the red marginally. You do have names like Reliance Industries, a couple of other heavyweights, Yes Bank, that are dragging a bit. So look at that just sort of slide we've seen in the last 5-10 minutes. So Samir, just to refresh, you said financials, consumer, tech, particularly software, is what you like, or those are the broad themes?
Yeah. I was saying in India, tech means software. I was saying both globally that these are the three themes where you find the individuals who made maximum money themselves, or otherwise, or funds that do well, or just longer term themes are these three. And in India, there's no real tech of the kind in US. So for us, it is a little bit of software, which has one other advantage, that it is an exporter. So it's like a hedge. We have very little of it, maybe 10% now. But I'm saying these are the three themes where you can at least believe that there is secular angle, rather than, one airplane is going down, therefore the other company has got 10% extra, share for 1 month maybe, or 2 months in a lean period, and therefore the stock is up 30%. There's no point in wasting time over all this.
Okay, so if you had to summarize your view on the market, are you a raging bull now, like the red one in the background, or are you an aging bull?
I am aging, but I am not an aging bull.
Reference to age.
I think it's an okay market. There is one event which between now and then is okay, but from May I will get a bit of nervous for 1-2 months. And then I think it'll be a normal market. I define normal market where I go in thinking that I'll make 15-20%, but it never happens like that. I was very negative going into Demon, and that year the NAVs were up some 40-50%, but I was super negative in December of 2016. So the markets in the end do what they have to do, but I would feel it's a normal market, which means I'm not excited, but I'm not scared. It's okay. It's like one more year, then we see.
Okay, just one final word. Since you spoke about 2017. 2017 was for me, in recent memory, the best year for mid-caps. And then we saw what happened last year, Samir. That part of mean reversion, you reckon, is over? Can we expect post-election, perhaps, some bit of mid-cap outperformance to come back?
Well, I would think that will happen as soon as this FII flow even moderates. And I think that for at least a month, it will reverse. So, yeah, I think that little bit of catching will happen, but we now feel that, there's no point in going to the 200th company to choose. There are so many companies between, say, a $2 billion market cap, let's say, because the advantage of that kind of a company is that it has survived a number of years. It has managed, when you reach 2 billion, 1 billion means not 100 million and 200 million. You have survived the Indian system and its cycles, and therefore, they are a little better off in terms of risk avoidance than a $20, $100 company, $1 million company. I don't know which one will do well. One of them will go up 10 times. But we are not going to own all the 10, and sometimes we have confidence and sometimes not in the ones which are very small. So I think if you go into $1 billion plus, which would be considered ultra small cap by the world, but reasonable cap by Indian fund managers, you can choose from that universe, and we like that group. 1 to 10 billion is a good group to choose from.
All right, Samir, thanks a lot for joining us. Always good talking to you. And of course, let's see what the market does ahead of election, post-election. For now, it's seeing some profit taking, now not entirely unexpected. We're making this point as well. On Friday, we had that last hour rally, so there were some longs. And ahead of the manifesto at 11 a.m., it's unlikely that the market would want to take very large exposure on the long side. So just want this event to be out of the way and then perhaps make the next move. We'll of course find out at 11 a.m. We have that manifesto.